Is that indexing on the back of that check?
Yes, there is an indexing plate. What it is just a point of reference. If you don't have an indexing system on the lathe, you would have to come up with a pointer or some way of keeping track of where you work, because there's so many different lathes out there. How do you make something to match every one? But now you have the holes that you can line up, and there's 24 different indexing points. The lathes all have the indexing points. The VL240 and the 300 also have a kill switch on it, or safety switch I should say, that if you have your spindle locked, you cannot turn the lathe on. Vern was saying when he was doing the pen blanks, he was doing so many of them, every once in a while he forgot to turn the power on when the thing was still on. And his is an older lathe, and so then the motor started, he had to hit the kill switch in a hurry. So he didn't burn his belt out. So there's another couple other things with them. See, I don't even know what's here. This is the VM120 chuck, and yes, this one weighs 8.5 pounds, and it's a little heavier. And if you really want a heavy one, I have another one. It's a 2-speed chuck. It weighs 14.5 pounds. And the jaws on that are interchangeable with the 120. And that weighs 14.5 pounds. It's a handful. I don't sell too many of them, but the people that have them, they know the difference. Any questions on the Vic Mar?
Where's it made?
Australia. They're made in the family factory. If you look at the name Vic Mar, Dad's name is Victor, and his son's name is Marco. And they've been building lathes and accessories since 1984. And Marco's daughter is Bella, so whether it's going to change or... I kind of doubt it, but it's now 3 generations built in Australia. No.
Do you have retail outlets here?
I cover all of Canada.
Oh, I see.
When we were looking at it, and there have been other dealers for Vic Mar, and I don't think there's been any now for close to 10 years, 10 to 12 years before I did. And I'm looking at, these are quality lathes. It's a niche market. All of the population in Canada will fit in California. I would never survive if I was in one local area, because there's not enough population to keep the business running. And so that's why I cover all of Canada. And I'm also the exclusive dealer for the Carter and Son tools. And a lot of it is the same reason. We don't have the population. And that's the main reason.
So you're stationed in Eastern Canada?
I am in Calgary.
And if I wanted to buy one of your products, I'd get on the internet.
You can look, okay. My website is set up for information, and I can tell you why that's it for now. I have the product on there, the description, what they all are and stuff. There's no pricing, because the exchange rate goes like a yo-yo. It bounces up and down. And the other thing, if you wanted a bulk gouge, and if I set a shipping rate on the computer, I cannot tag that to your address, the size, weight, and dimensions of the product. But the guy sitting beside you wants a VL300 lathe. Where do I set the shipping? 20 bucks or 25 or $250? Well, the $250 works for the lathe, but it doesn't work for bulk gouge. So you can send me an email, give me a phone call, let me know what you're looking at, and I will do up your quote. With your postal code, I can tell you what the freight is, what the postage will be. I ship everything pretty well by Canada Post. Expedited mail works out to be about the cheapest way. It takes 1 or 2 days longer than Pure Later, but it's about 40% cheaper.
Now, you talked about the quality of everything that you have there. And I certainly don't doubt the quality of
Yeah.
those chucks and so on. But as well, you have no overhead in the sense of retail outlets and rent and all of this kind of thing. Are you somewhat cheaper than if you went into Lee Valley or something like that?
The last one I checked was, I compared the VM120 with the Stronghold at Lee Valley, and there was about $2 difference. Because I do not have the volume that Lee Valley has, my freight costs are higher because I don't bring them in by the container load. And so, no, I don't have a storefront overhead, but not huge, but I do have a storage unit because this isn't all going to fit in there, and I'm not packing a lathe down into the basement, and especially if we got to dig it out again within 20 years.
Ken, could you also give your bank account number to John as well? He just wants to make sure everything's good.
Yeah. No, so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's me, and with that I can also control the type of service I want to provide. They're in the back of the catalog, and I'll leave a few copies here for the club. That there are some testimonials in there that will attest to that. I've got customers down in Alabama, Texas. You are my go-to guy. And I have worked with companies that are proud of their customer service, and I didn't believe a word they said. But I value my integrity, and I will stand behind what I do. Carter & Son Tools, they're made in Seattle. They phoned me one day and said, we want you to carry my tools. And I said, what are they? So they sent me a 3/8 bowl gouge and put it in the lathe and tried it. And, you know, this thing's pretty nice. Now I use, and I was using a good bowl gouge before that for about 8 years. My bowl gouges, when I do bowls, I use a 5/8, and once in a while I use a 3/8. Very seldom do I use a scraper. And that's what I turn bowls with. On that 5/8 bowl gouge, I can pull off a 3/4 inch shaving, especially greenwood, where I can get close to 1/8 of an inch thick. If you were at the show and you were watching Windekind, the size of shavings he was pulling off, he was using my chisels. So that was a 5/8 bowl gouge, and he was pulling shavings like this. I'm not that good. I can also, with that same tool, now on dryer wood, I can pull off shavings you can see through. And when you're pulling off a string, almost as thin as a hair in your head, all with the 5/8 bowl gouge. I use the 3/8 if I'm doing a fine cleanup cut at the end. The tools are all made with M42 steel. They are, Carter & Sons has a video on their website, and he talks about the different, the videos from Craft Supplies, and he talks about the different types of metals used in turning tools. The lower grade one is the M2, and there's a number of them out. You can get them razor sharp, but I was talking to a guy this weekend, he figures he sharpens 3 times on a bowl. And what? I'll do 5 or 6. Now, the other thing is, the longer I do this, the pickier I get, the sooner I sharpen. If I have to push it, I touch it up. The M42 steel, of the 5 that he just talked about in this video, is the top of the line. There was none better. And that's what they made them out of. There's a 5-step heat treating process. I'm not sure how long it is, but I know it's a few days to do the heat treating on them. The handle is aluminum, aircraft grade aluminum. I'm not a metallurgist, so when you say aircraft grade aluminum, I don't know exactly what it is, but these things are incredible. They all have a 3/4 inch bore. If you have a 3/8 bowl gouge or detail spindle gouge, there's an adapter that you can put in so that you get the same fit on this handle. I would use a shorter handle, but for this one, So you're rock solid. And yes, I do have some wood handles as well. What you will find with the aluminum handles, you're rock solid. If, especially with turning bowls, you start pushing too hard, you start to get a chatter. And with the aluminum handle, you feel it sooner, so you can back off because the wood absorbs that vibration. The other thing that is, no. One of the things you've seen, and I think there's an example up here of something that happened, but how many of you ever seen a roughing gouge that is bent here? Because the tangs on most tools, I won't say them all.
We'll show you an example. There it is.
I see this very often, but see that round tang that's 3/16 of an inch thick? The roughing gouge takes probably the biggest beating of any of the tools. If you ever bent this, I'd be scared to see what else happened, because this would be the least of your problems. That's how they built all of their tools. And so that gives you that rock solid joint. This is a pretty good sized chunk of metal. It will last you a long time. I love using this thing because when I'm rounding off a square block, whether it's, I don't do pepper mills, but a block that size, I do baby rattles and stuff like that, 30 to 45 seconds I can have a piece like this round. And it's the you don't hear, and now some of this is technique as well. I don't hear the bang, 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 bang. And if you do, change your angle a little bit, that'll make a difference.
That's all one piece?
This is one piece. Yeah. Back to the baby rattles. I also do Kitra stands, which is about a 2-inch diameter stand that holds a 2 3/4 inch glass ball. I don't know. There. And what I do with that is I put in a 14-inch piece of wood in these jaws. I start at the outside, do it like you would a wine goblet, put the cup in, which is the contour of the glass ball, shape it, polish it, cut it off, do the next one, the next one, the next one, and then I shut it off, loosen the jaws, move the piece out to the dovetail jaws at the end, and get one more piece. So I start with about a 14-inch piece of wood and turn it all the way down. I also use this one on the VM120, and last year I made a light tower for a Toastmasters club. I don't know if any of you are in Toastmasters. They use timers, whether it's cardboard, colored lights, to say, okay, you're a minute into your 2-minute speech, you're a minute and a half, or your time is up. So I made one of them. I took a piece of log this long, turned it down to a 2-inch tenon, and put into that 2-inch length, not diameter. That thing is about this long finished, and it's a tree, so it's bent like this. And when I run the video, it's wobbling like crazy. The hole down the center is perfectly straight. And these things are incredible. I love the way they work, and if I've got any depth, I use them quite often. Yes?
Can they be used on one-way chucks or
No.
just specific to?
All of the jaws, they're basically designed for the Vic Mar chucks. One, they don't design for somebody else, and the 100 and the 120 jaws are not interchangeable, and the reason why is the spacing between the screws are different, and the 100 used an M5 screw, the 120 jaws use an M6. There's also a ring around the outside, and I doubt that that would fit the ring in the one-way chuck.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
One way, it doesn't have a ring.
Oh, okay, it doesn't have a ring to even fit into. They've come out with a couple negative rake scrapers, and they have, I don't use one. I can't tell you how to use one yet. But they have been very, very popular. They've got a 1 inch and a 1 1/4, which is basically this size again. I do have one here. That's a 1 1/4 negative rake scraper. It's got two angles, 25 and 40 degrees. And I can't keep these in stock.
Do you have a parting tool as well? Can you show that?
I have 3 different parting tools. They have a 1/16
There.
3/16 is fairly thick. This is the one I use. It's a 1/8. There's the shape of it. And then they also have a 1/16 one. If you can see, this one has 2 steps. The 1/16 will come to about here, and then the tail end of it is down to 1/16 of an inch. So if you want to get really thin, you can do that as well. The 1/16 one is fairly new. If you look on my website, it's probably not there. But on the Carter & Son website, it is. What you can do if you're wanting a ballpark price, if you go to the Carter & Son Toolworks website, which is different than Carter Tools. That's a different Carter family. Don't know if they're related or not. If you look at their pricing, and add $1.37, that'll get you pretty close for the exchange rate. And basically that's what I do. And I had to add a little bit of freight in. I didn't used to, but I'm having to do that now. And that's about 5%. Just to cover my costs because freight is killing me.